Car innovation has never been more exciting and promising than it is presently, with the modern BMW automobiles. From ravishing plans to scrupulous supportability and high-tech powerhouses on wheels of long-standing time, BMW gives a system that combines intrigue and the foremost later specialized signs of progress. One such case is BMW's modern M2. In today's video, we are aiming to examine all the truths known approximately the BMW unused M2 vehicle. What recognizes it from its predecessor and how it is named as a car for a superb driving experience. So adhere right to the video and don't miss any parcels. 2. In case you're unused to the channel, keep in mind to subscribe and hit the chime symbol, so you won't miss any future recordings we upload. It is expected that the BMW M2 will convey the same agreeable driving involvement as its forerunner. The foremost later emphasis of the BMW M2 was created to offer prevalent driving capabilities, in spite of the reality that it is mechanically comparative to the standard BMW 2 Series in numerous regards. Not as it were will it feature a plan that's more particular and a chassis that has been accurately balanced, but its twin-turbocharged inline-6 motor is likely intending to beat the 405 drive that the current M2 competition has. In expansion to the plausibility of a manual transmission, the 2023 meters squared would come standard with a mechanized transmission that had 8 gears. In fact, the active BMW M2 is still considered to be one of the foremost elating compact sports cars on the advertise. In any case, the as of late discharged BMW M2 CS has taken the manual, rear-wheel drive, straight-six equation to an entirety unused level. In any case, the extra cost is troublesome to legitimize. The great news for BMW M devotees, on the other hand, is that the unused one is likely to keep all of the vital characteristics of the more seasoned one, whereas giving indeed higher levels of performance. The past era of the BMW M2 was in critical demonstrate for the M division of BMW. Indeed, in spite of the fact that the company's portfolio has since extended to incorporate more well-known execution vehicles, such as SUVs and indeed electric cars, the victory of this unused demonstrate is imperative. In 2018, the company called the car its most grounded development driver. Its victory is critical, indeed, in spite of the fact that the company has since included more prevalent execution cars to its lineup. Since BMW's most recent M2 model doesn't have the bulky body covering that was on its prior test cars, able to see how the company's execution division has changed the sea of its lead model. All through, BMW has given pictures of a Model M2, but since it is masked with camouflage, it is troublesome to decide numerous of the vehicle's outside characteristics. The camouflage doesn't work to cover up the reality that the modern M2 looks more extensive than the standard model. The recently discharged pictures not as it were appear the M2 with less camouflage than in past shots, but they too uncover a critical number of plant components. It would show up that Munich has saved no exertion within the improvement of its most later M model. The M2 may be recognized from the 2 Series by its unique front spoiler and headlights. As you might expect, Munich has too pumped up the complete car, giving the M2 a small more nearness than the fundamental car, much obliged to a more extensive track and wheels. In any case, M2 execution is the highlight that has the lion's share of people's center. Both the deplete stack, which is formed like a bizarre pyramid, and the raise wing have more than a indicate of the CSL homage concept car approximately them. Both of these highlights can be found within the vehicle's back end, or max power. If there's a more noteworthy sum of camouflage, there will be less that can be seen from the front, but on the off chance that the back is any indication, we ought to be arranged for something that's more extreme. Regarding the chassis, the unused BMW M2 is based on the same chassis as the M240i xDrive, which is in a general sense a scaled-down adaptation of the 4 Series Roadster. Compared to the final era of the 2 Series, the modern one includes a longer wheelbase, which makes it more steady. The 20-inch wheels and M-wear suspension will make it hold and handle superior than before. You can expect a boisterous quad-tip debilitate, bulging curves, a more ground-hugging position than the M240i, and a huge raised diffuser. All of these highlights will be there. The M2 will take off the plant prepared with a 6-speed manual gearbox as the base transmission, but a Steptronic 8-speed programmed transmission will once more be an accessible choice. The base demonstrate cars have rear-wheel drive, but xDrive all-wheel drive is arranged to be in choice afterward on, similar to it is for the M3 and M4. Separated from that, it has too been known that in terms of control and torque, The unused M2 is on standard with the 444 horsepower CS variation of the Mk1 M2. In spite of the fact that it weighs an evaluated 1,715 kilograms, it is 85 kilograms less than the standard M4, and as a result, the informal target time of 3.9 seconds to go from to 62 miles per hour is spot on. The car front conclusion incorporates a updated bumper with a lower splitter and extra vents, while the raised conclusion gets an enormous diffuser that's packed with the quad exit deplete tips that are characteristic of BMW M vehicles. Moreover, the side skirts have been brought down, and a modern ducktail spoiler has been included to the bootlet. Most importantly, the another era of BMW's M2 will take advantage of the cutting-edge engineering that sits underneath the brand unused 2 arrangement car. This stage advanced from the one utilized by the 3 arrangement. Be that as it may, the powertrain and chassis that come standard within the 2 arrangement will experience impressive corrections within the model. It is anticipated that control would come from BMW M's most later turbocharged 3.0-liter straight-six gasoline motor, which can be found in execution SUVs such as the X3M and the X4M. The motor, which goes by the codename S58 and produces 503 drive in BMW's top-of-the-line competition trim, is anticipated to have its yield capped by BMW so that the M2 will not compete specifically with its bigger, larger, bigger, and more costly brothers. In keeping with the rest of BMW's M lineup, the M2 will be accessible with 2 distinctive control yields. There will be an ordinary adaptation that serves as the entry-level demonstrate, and there will moreover be a more impressive competition choice that acts as the lead demonstrate. There will be adequate partition between the M2 and the modern M240iX drive, which produces 369 drive, much obliged to the reality that the base show of the M2 will have its slightest 400 horsepower. With a yield of 400 drive, the M2 would have the muscle essential to compete with the following era of hyper-hot hatches from Audi and Mercedes-Benz. The motor within the new Audi RS3 could be a turbocharged 2.5-liter 5-pot petrol motor that produces 395 drive, while the motor within the Mercedes-AMG A45S produces 415 horsepower. On the other hand, in differentiate to those automobiles, it is expected that BMW will proceed to supply exclusively rear-wheel drive within the M2, instead of embracing the rear-biased four-wheel drive framework found within the modern M3 and M4. In expansion, devotees will be satisfied to memorize that in conjunction with the standard 8-speed paddle shift program transmission, there will too be a 6-speed manual gearbox available. If BMW imitates the execution differential between the ordinary and competition forms of the M3 and M4, the M2 competition will have a small bit more control than some time recently, possibly getting near to the 430 drive edge. The company might even make a follow-up to the 444 horsepower M2 CS, which was the most powerful M2 model that could be driven on the road until now. BMW will make many alterations to the stage and arrange to way better direct the extra control. The company's specialists will increment the coupe's track width, increment the measure of the brakes, include a few extra braces to anticipate chassis flex, and introduce an M where raised differential as standard equipment. The suspension will too be moved forward, and the brand's engineers will have the choice between 2 particular approaches in this respect. You'll have the alternative of going with the company's stroke-dependent mechanical dampers or the M-DON versatile electromechanical dampers. Both of these dampers have been calibrated to meet the M2's more grounded and more extensive chassis. Pricing data has not been finished at this time since it is expected that BMW will discharge the modern M2 until the last mentioned half of 2022, and it is conceivable that the vehicle will not be accessible in UK showrooms until the starting of 2023. Despite this, it is expected that costs for the M2 competition will start somewhere around the £60,000 mark. That implies the coupe will be able to compete with sports coupes like the Porsche Cayman as well as the upcoming Audi RS3 Hyperhatch when it comes to the market. For a little bit more cash, you'll get seats that are lighter and a suede-wrapped directing wheel that's richer. It's conceivable that the track pack, which includes carbon ceramic brakes, will be a discretionary extra. To conclude the entire discussion, those who need to be chauffeured will appreciate this vehicle, which is as extravagant as it should be for a vehicle with such a sensible cost tag. But, what do you think of the most recent innovation within the BMW modern M2? Tell us approximately your views within the comments section. And on the off chance that you appreciate the video, provide us a thumbs up by enjoying the video and subscribing to the channel, because it would empower us to distribute more astonishing stuff like this for you. Well, thank you for observing the video. See you in the other one.